Welcome to Meet Me in the Penthouse. I am Amy, along here with my sister Molly. We help high-achieving women increase their income, but most importantly, their impact. We are neighbors, sisters, and business partners. We have built 8-figure businesses together, traveled the world together, raised our children together, mentored thousands of men and women together, and it's all because we have a penthouse mindset. We aim for the top, and we show others how to empower themselves to peel back the layers and truly step into their greatness and calling. Welcome to Meet Me in the Penthouse. Hi, I'm Amy Mosser, and we are welcoming you to the Penthouse, where we help high-achieving women increase their income, but most importantly, their impact. I'm here with my sister, Molly Kroeker.
And we're so excited that you guys are tuning in. This is a long time coming. It is definitely not anything I think we thought on our radar, but we have a lot of insight and value and great things that we feel we could serve you with. And so we are two sisters that basically live next door. We'll tell you the story of that, but I'm sure a lot of you are curious about maybe just about a little bit about our background. I don't know. Is that where we should start?
Well, I think so. We just assume that, we live in Nebraska, so everybody in Nebraska knows that's right.
Exactly. We're famous in Nebraska, really, amongst ourselves, but
yes. Well, and I'll tell you, we have been just personal development junkies. We have lived incredible lives. We have built businesses side by side. We have raised children together. Our 25-year-olds now are 13 days apart, not planned. And our 22-year-olds are 6 weeks apart, not planned.
I know she did have, and this is back before you could have maternity bridesmaids dresses. So all of you that are like in your 20s, they didn't have them like that Amy was going to be in 3 weddings. And I thought, well, there's no way she's going to be pregnant. So we waited 5 years, and then we are waiting 13 weeks to tell anyone. And Amy is literally telling us as she's throwing the pregnancy test at her husband. And I'm like, oh my gosh, she's going to be a pregnant bridesmaid, which I believe had 3 maternity
bridesmaids dresses
that really were just a large piece of cloth, a tent.
Yes. Yes.
In mauve. I believe mauve was the hot color then.
Yes, it was mauve and mauve and that green, right? That dark green. Yeah. So we have had the fortune of being very, very close. We shared a Holly Hobby bedroom together, jogger roller skates. We both had, we just have always been a package deal. It's always been Amy and Molly, Molly and Amy.
Big bit and little bit.
Big bit and little bit, as Dad calls us. And yeah, so as we have raised kids together, built businesses together, traveled the world together, done several mission trips. We're going back in December of this year again. We have just had so much fun. And so this is what just naturally is the next thing, right? We have mentored and been able to really change and serve lives for thousands of women, mostly women and men, but mostly women. Myself in the real estate realm and also social selling, but Molly has been very successful in social selling, the top 0.5% of a social selling company.
Yeah, top 05. 0.05. 0.05, however you say that, but it's not by our own will. I mean, truthfully, we will always give it to God. And I would say we know where our success comes from, and we'll always point to Him. And I think people just love being around us. We're 20 months apart. I think the furthest apart we've been is when I went away to graduate school. I moved to Des Moines to go to sports to become a physical therapist. And then we moved right back. So I was miserable and had a baby that cried all the time. I love you, Sam. I mean, it just was, Calvin and I probably didn't know what we were doing, but he cried for 10 months and didn't sleep through the night. But I loved him. I loved that little chunky monkey. And I remember Amy pulling up in her white Ford F-150 and turned the passenger airbag off and propped the bottle for Lauren.
Bottle with my 2-week-old, 3-week-old baby, put her in the front seat, propped a bottle, and away we went.
Yeah, came out and said, you're moving back to Lincoln. And that was my very favorite night ever in my life. was sleeping with those babies on our chest. They were so tiny and up in our bedroom. And it was just, Calvin obviously slept in the guest room, and we just had like raised these babies together. We moved in with Amy, and Calvin continued to work at the job he loved in Des Moines and found a different job in pharma and became a pharmaceutical sales rep. And we lived with Amy for about 4 months until we found our house and gutted it and all the things. And so, yes, and we had so much fun. We've had so much fun raising these babies together. And then 3 years later, almost to the day, then we had our next set. And so it's fun that they flip-flop sexes. So she had a boy, I had a girl, Charlie and Sophie, and they've been the best of friends. They've been raised as cousins and twins and siblings and all the things. And Lauren kind of took care of Sam through high school, and it's been incredible. So when we moved out here to the lake, which was my husband's dream, not mine, and I thought, who would want to live in the middle of nowhere? And then we built a house, and I absolutely fell in love with it. It is magical out here at the lake. And I always say it's kind of like, what is that place that's like
Mayberry?
Mayberry? There we go.
Pleasantville.
Yeah, Pleasantville. It literally is. Everyone's so nice because no one's from here. So everyone's in the same boat trying to make friends. It's only 6 years old. So when we moved out here and Amy made the decision to follow suit. Now, keep in mind, our parents had moved from Lincoln, our hometown, Grand Island, our hometown, to 90 miles away in Lincoln. We were all living in Lincoln, Nebraska, and then we moved away to Ashland. And then Amy followed suit about 2 years later. And so I remember when she left her dream house, this massive home, but who cares how big it is, right? If you just don't have great people around you. And so you were lonely.
We were great people. I just knew one of the things that I knew I'm in real estate. I have been very successful. I've been a top producer. I'm at the top of my game. We bought this gorgeous house. I went through a divorce. I'm on marriage number 2, married to the love of my life. And we ended up in this gorgeous home on the coveted, lovely golf course, an acre of land next to, very successful neighbors, nearly 7,000 square feet. We remodeled it. It was gorgeous. And I remember sitting there thinking, there's got to be something more. I mean, you would have thought and I loved it. I was so grateful. But really, for me, God just said, what do you want? What do you truly want? And what I truly wanted is I want to be close to my family. I want to be close to my sister. I want to be close to my kids. And we ended up, I just said, all right, God, if it's meant to be. We had somebody knock on our door and say, do you want to sell it? And we had just moved in, for Pete's sakes. And actually we did. So they brought us an offer after a bit of negotiating. And then my former client who lived at the lake called me to say they just weren't using their lake house with the pool. We missed our pool from so we ended up selling our house and moving in nearby Molly, and we just get to see each other nonstop and our children nonstop. And that is what makes us happy.
One thing, disclaimer, when she came out here, I was like, you can't wear heels. But let me just tell you, sister shows up loud and proud in her heels. And
I was born in heels.
She was born in heels. We always say that. So, I mean, you're going to discover a lot. So number one, for sure, she was born in heels. That is how she's always been. She came out of the womb in heels, and we were always late to church because she was piercing her ear with a potato behind her ear, and all the
sewing an outfit together,
sewing an outfit way ahead of her time, like 2 pieces of jean fabric together, and she'd wear it as a skirt, like the tops of jeans, if you can picture that. So always late to church because she was like sewing, piercing something, rearranging, and that was not me at all. And so, in fact, fun fact, I tried out for football in 6th grade. And they were not quite sure what to do with me. They were like, we've never had a girl try out for football. And I played baseball until 8th grade, till my mom made me switch to softball because you could see my bra through that mesh shirt. And I remember, I was conscious about it. And I also was the catcher, and I had fingernail polish on. And I remember frantically being at my neighbor's house, at Sue Parker's house, and wanting to get that nail polish off before I showed up to the baseball game, because I knew they'd make fun of me. Like, oh my gosh, who is this girl? Duh, I was a girl.
Is that what we call that? I've always lived in my feminine and you've lived in your masculine. I'm just kidding.
Well, kind of as you look at it, yes. I was always very competitive, and I love to win, and I always like to do, like, I didn't want to do just the easy things. I always wanted to do the challenging things. So for sure, yeah, that's where shit gets done, right? You're masculine. So yeah, there it is, right? Or I would be running for 10 miles talking to Amy, and she'd be moving a picture for the whole time I ran 10 miles. She's like, let me move this picture that
While
I've
selling 3 houses, I might add.
Yes. Yes, while selling 3 houses, but that's kind of how we roll. She is the fashion one. Again, she always has been. And if you know me, you know that it is a strong vacation if I choose to travel without her and I don't borrow anything of hers. Because most of the time I do end up paving and borrowing something from her, or maybe all the things. And we don't wear the same size shoe or bra. But other than that, we darn near wear about the same thing. So I borrow a lot of stuff from her. That works out well for me.
My first and second husband think it's weird that we still share clothes, but no.
I know we get it. Also, weird fact about us is we would always burst into each other's houses to use each other's bathrooms.
Yes.
Like our husbands also were like, that's weird. Why don't you just go to we're like, and it was always like with great urgency. It was never just a casual walk in. It was like flying in the door. I got to get into the bathroom in the next 3 seconds. And we've done that our whole lives too.
Just a few fun facts about us, and the fact that we were raised by a mom who ran marathons in 1976 and has always been very, very driven, had the lead in all of the community plays, has always worked 2 and 3 jobs at a time. So that may explain our work ethic, our drive, our mindset. And that is exactly why we knew that we needed to start this podcast of Meet Me in the Penthouse. It is that penthouse mindset, as we call it. I'm a little bougie, so I sell real estate. Penthouse condos I've been known to sell a few. So it made so much sense as we are into our 50s, we're empty nesters. We are at the top of our game in everything.
Yeah.
I'm at the top of my game in real estate. Molly's at the top of her game in her social selling business. We have gorgeous houses. You would think we would be able to sit around and sit in my pool and laugh all day, but God has placed it on our heart to continue to mentor and empower other women to really find out what they want, to really dig deep, to peel back the layers, because that's what we have both done.
Mm-hmm.
And we will share our stories over time. We have peeled back the layers. I just heard today on a podcast, I've always had vision boards. We've had vision boards at our house for 20 years, right? But it isn't until you really peel back the layers. And it doesn't have to be great. Molly and I were raised the same way, had the same incidents, and both of us have different perspectives and different outcomes from one incident. And so it's not good or bad, it just is. And that is what has guided our journeys right down the road. So we have so much to share with you on really finding out. I think as women, we take care of everybody. And it's probably our age, Molly, that we're like, what do I want now? Like, what I've got 50 more years on this earth. What are those going to look like, or more?
Right. Or more. I mean, you never know with the way that science is going and the way that we live well. But that's really Penthouse vibes. When I first heard that, I thought that has to be the name of our podcast. It is the most perfect name because it's whatever you want. If you want to think of it as real estate, but if you want to think of it as mindset, because you can vibrate in the basement and your Amazon packages will probably get stolen and you probably are going to have cheap furniture that falls apart. And it's those basement people, and God love them. But, you can move to different levels of that complex, but we choose to live in the penthouse. And so that's going to be what we're going to teach you throughout this whole journey is how do we keep up with that penthouse living? And we'll share lots of tips. We'll have lots of fun interviews with people.
Yes.
It's going to be Amy and I. It's going to be all kinds of things, but we're just excited you're along for the ride.
And we say there's 5% of the people that live in the penthouse, right? That are willing to do the work, that are willing to get up at 5:30 a.m., that are willing to do what other people are not, right? To put the opinions of others away or to not weigh the opinions of others. And so we want to teach you and to show you and interview the 5%ers, right? There's less of us in the Penthouse. There's only 5% of us. So the view is gorgeous and we want to share that view with you. So stay tuned for more. Thank you for tuning in today for Meet Me in the Penthouse with Sisters Amy and Molly. Please rate and review. We love those 5-star ratings and would love to have you go to our website at sistersnextdoor.com.
We hope you loved our first episode of just filling you in on who we are. Penthouse thinking isn't for everyone, but anyone can choose to live in the penthouse of their mind. We are going to bring you weekly content with penthouse thinkers that we surround ourselves with. First up is Wendy Irvin, and you are going to love Wendy. She is our Pilates instructor, but I'm telling you, this woman has got a history and how she made it all the way from California to Nebraska, owning multiple franchises, and really where her journey began of living in the penthouse. Here's Wendy.